guys, come on, it's getting late now. We have to do this trailer for our podcast. I mean, I know we're the Wait What trio, and this is the Wait What podcast. But how do we talk about the many episodes that we've done?
I don't know. It's just stuff. Tournaments, chocolate, games. I've lost count. Oh, we love tournaments. I don't know what else. What else can we talk about?
Not to mention idiots' guides. I mean, we've done plenty of those. Us three being idiots ourselves, we could do so much more.
Yeah, and then there's every single music episode that we've done, saying what the best song was by every artist and band. I mean, and then prepared for every single episode, there's always a Simpsons reference or some kind of movie reference that we have, something that makes us all laugh. And then we just talk over each other.
I was just about to say that.
Don't interrupt.
What?
So basically, what it is you want to tell people that we cover everything. They're same for everyone, and we're available everywhere.
Pretty much, yeah. We're available on all podcast platforms, and yeah.
All right, we'll sort it out next week.
Please be advised, Mental Health Mondays deals with some heavy topics and subjects, such as mental health, suicide, sexual assault, and more. Please listen at your own discretion and please seek professional help if you are struggling. Thank you and enjoy the episode.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Let's Record from Ebony's work desk at home because she has no other time to record. Oh, what a mess the past week or two have been for me. I am just... Oh, God. I don't even have the words to describe it, but... social media has not become a very safe place for myself, but we won't get into that. Today, I actually wanted to talk about my one and true love, music. If there's anything I love more than horror movies, it is music. I would quite literally wouldn't be here if it wasn't for music. Sitting here at my desk listening to the latest Drugs album, or Destroy Rebuild Until God Shows, if you don't know who that is, and counting down the days to seeing I Prevail with Motionless in White live this weekend, and all three bands have contributed to my mental health in one point or another. So I thought I was going to leave this for next week, but I thought, you know what, I think now is the time. Now is the time to discuss music and how much it means to me, and how much it has quite literally saved my life throughout multiple years. So with that being said, I think we should just get right into the very, 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 very beginning. For if you don't know, I was born in 93, so I'm 29. And like I've said previously, I've dealt with mental health issues pretty much my entire life. And especially when I was younger, I really struggled finding a way to deal with it that didn't include harming myself. Whether that was in the form of cutting, whether it was just in the form of bruising myself, whether, no matter what it was, that was my only outlet. Because for me, the pain, I thought if I can make myself in more pain than what I currently feel, then it will distract me from the rest of the pain that I'm dealing with. And it is an absolutely horrible thing to do. It's not safe, it's not right. Please, I am not encouraging absolutely anyone to do this. This was purely where my mind was at the time. Until a particular album was released. And that album, that one bloody album, was Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park. I know Meteora is another great one, but in the end, those lyrics, I've never felt so close and resonated with a song so much in my life like I had and still do with that song. Those lyrics mean so much to me. And it was once I started listening to music that had the lyrics that made me feel like someone else understood where I was coming from. I'm not going to lie, I didn't stop injuring or hurting myself for many years to come, but it definitely helped. And I can absolutely, wholeheartedly thank Linkin Park for that, because they completely opened my eyes to a whole other way of listening to music. Like, don't get me wrong, I've always loved music. There's not many genres I don't listen to, or I can usually find at least one band in every genre that I'll listen to. But there's just... It felt like Chester was me. It felt like he was singing my pain. He was singing what I was going through at the time. And this song has changed throughout the years. For me personally, with its meaning, because, you know, I can relate it to ex-partners, I can relate it to my mum, I can relate it to so many different times in my life, and it always fit. I didn't need to ever change a single word because it always fit. And, you know, from there I started diving more into songs with that I thought had those sort of meanings. You know, songs that really helped me get through some really dark times. And, you know, it goes from something like In the End by Linkin Park to Never Too Late by 3 Days Grace, at which I actually have their lyrics tattooed on me. I go to that song as a reminder that it is never too late, and there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. I've always told myself that, and to some people it's corny, to others it's, you know, it's cheesy, it's just words, but it really makes a difference. It's horrible to think other people have gone through the same sort of pain you have when the pain is so dark and so controlling, but at the same time it gives you some sort of ease that you're not the only one dealing with it, and although you've thought your whole life that you are, you're not. Especially as I've gotten older, I've gotten into much heavier music. Not saying the next few bands I mention are heavy. I do listen to a lot heavier, but, you know, it goes 3 Days Grace and Linkin Park to I Prevail and Motionless in White to Rammstein to like Suicide Silence. And if you don't know these bands, I'm sorry. I can't go into a deep background and deep dive into every single band I bring up here, but if you think something sounds interesting, absolutely give all these bands a go. But there's just some music that really sits with you, and that really just, you can sit there and just listen, and you put the headphones on or you blast it through the speakers, and the rest of the world doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. I've brought up in previous episodes that definitely recently I've gone through some dark times, and like I said before, I'm definitely not past anything, and I'm definitely still dealing with a lot of demons. But music definitely helps me get there. There's a few times in the past, I'd say maybe 3 to 5 years, where I've reached out for certain items to help me leave a lot faster. I don't want to be as blunt as I have been in other episodes, but and instead I've ended up reaching for my phone or the headphones to play some music. And like I said, it possibly in a way it's masking the pain, but I feel a lot better after I do that versus if I were to hurt myself again like I used to. And it's really interesting to me to see how the music I gravitate towards now versus back then, or for certain situations, has changed over the years. Like I said, I'll always listen to Linkin Park and 3 Days Grace and I Prevail and all those sorts of bands, and like the Trauma album by I Prevail, holy crap, that album is the most relatable album as a whole I've ever listened to. That entire album is about mental health and how to get through it and when you're struggling, and it is, fuck me, it is really relatable. In saying that, like before I would always gravitate to the same sort of music and it wouldn't really depend on whether I was depressed or anxious or any of the other items under that umbrella of mental health, where now I will gravitate towards certain music depending on how I'm feeling. And if my anxiety is through the roof, I now gravitate towards lo-fi, which has only just come to me in the past 12, maybe 24 months. Not that I didn't know what it was, I just never really gave it a chance. And I find now that it absolutely calms me down. Lo-fi to me has become the Linkin Park of my 20s and almost 30s. Like, I will sit there and lay in a completely pitch black room, flat on my back, which can be painful at times, but that's a whole other story. Headphones on, extremely loud, and just zone out to lo-fi. Because it's like Zen. It just calms me down. And for anyone who doesn't or hasn't listened to it, I highly recommend giving it a go. There are so many different types of lo-fi and different sounds that they use that I honestly feel that there is something out there for everyone. But it's just crazy to me that a song or a sound can have so much hold over you. Like, you hear people say that some songs is like giving you a warm hug, or it just makes you happy. And these songs just put me in a better mindset. I can scream to the top of my lungs and feel so much better afterwards. Or sit there and just cry. You know, some lyrics like going back to 3 Days Grace, the film clip to Never Too Late, without fail, always makes me cry. And sometimes just sitting there alone, watching this film clip with the headphones on, bawling my eyes out, and I'll feel so much better for it afterwards. Or I'll stand in a scorching hot shower, blasting, you know, like I said before, the Trauma album by I Prevail, and feeling every single word that he said. Every single word. there's another song that, if I remember correctly, I think came out during lockdown or maybe just before, by the band The Devil Wears Prada. I've been very hit and miss with their newer stuff, but the song Chemical, holy crap. It just like, this song is just how I feel 90% of the time. It's only chemical. What we feel is only chemical. How we deal with it, what we're dealing with. And we need to remind ourselves that it is chemical. It is not something we can control. We can control our surroundings. We can control who we're around and stuff like that. But how we process and how we think, sure, you can train the brain and you can fight or flight and whatever else, but in the end it doesn't really matter. Because it's all chemical. It's just full circle moment to Linkin Park. But I can quite literally say music has saved my life. I will forever listen to these songs on repeat, as well as many others. You know, like I said, I listen to everything, but when it comes to this specific topic, I definitely have my go-tos, my Linkin Parks, my I Prevails, Devil Wears Prada, The Word Alive, that's another one that's got a few songs where I just really hits home. But all I'm going to say is, when it comes to music, if you haven't connected to a song or to a band in the same way that I have these, keep searching. Keep searching.
We interrupt this podcast for a quick promo break, but don't stress, we'll be back soon.
Have you ever thought about having a beer with Ted Bundy?
Or been anally probed at Area 51?
Perhaps go to dinner with Jeffrey Dahmer?
Taking a car ride with JFK?
Or enter a romantic relationship with O.J. Simpson? If so, then crack a cold one.
The Pubtime Podcast just might be for you.
See, that wasn't too long. Now back to the episode.
Because there is literally a band or a song or sound or something for everyone. Absolutely something for everyone. And with that being said, I know this has been quite a short episode. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm recording at my desk at work, but in saying that there is something for everyone, I posted a question on Twitter saying, what's your go-to band or go-to song or go-to music when you're feeling down? And I gotta say, the responses are really interesting, and I've really loved a lot of them. A lot of them being from other podcasters. I will shout out maybe a few people. I'm not too sure if everyone wants to be shout outed. I apologize if I didn't shout you out. I'm just rolling with it. So we'll see how we go, but the question was, who are your go-to bands and artists when feeling at your lowest, or specific songs? The first one being Celine Dion, which I'm laughing, but I get. Like, it's just a little odd. But that's from the This Is Random podcast. Like I said, I'll try and shout out as many people as I possibly can. I have it here sitting in front of me. Pubtime Podcast, Blind Melon, Mouthful of Cavities. Fizzgig, or Fizzgig Live, or Fizzgig 2.0, or Matthew. on his personal friend, actually a neighbour as well, technically. I'm going to butcher her name, but I think it's Likey Lee, or Licky Lee, I could be wrong. Which I completely understand. He got me into listening to her, and it's, yeah, some of the music's just beautiful and heartbreaking, and I can see why people would gravitate towards her. Invasion of the Remake podcast said Tool. Not the biggest Tool fan. As a kid or when I was younger, their film clips terrified the fuck out of me. So I feel like I'd have a really bad connection because of that, but I can understand why people gravitate towards Tool. The next one, who Cats, Coffee and Crack, Memoirs of a Midlife Crisis, said 9 Inch Nails, and that I can relate to 100%. Hurt, they've also mentioned as a personal fave, and that just, yeah, that hits hard, that one. Who else have we got here? Good Enough by Evanescence, said by Where's Pod Jess, which is just from Where's Our Pod. To be honest, a lot of Evanescence, really, like, I've always loved Evanescence. I don't know if I've really gone to them for this sort of thing, but I definitely love Evanescence. Curious Cat Podcast says, at my lowest, when I need a boost, it's either militant rap like Public Enemy or I cheese out with 80s rock. 100% relatable. Fucking love Public Enemy, and anything 80s is good in my books. Dungeons and Podcasts, who, can I just say, while I'm going through this, is one of the nicest people I've ever met through the podcasting. Cody from Dungeons and Podcasts has the biggest heart and is one of the few people who's actually reached out to me when I was feeling low, and has been an absolute rock in some hard times. So shout out to Cody. But he said Joy Division or Alkaline Trio, Ceremony and Insight by Joy Division for sure. I never really listened to Joy Division, but I have heard that from a lot of different people. Let's see, we've got Red Dove Podcast says Beyonce. I mean, you want to feel like a bad bitch, put her on for sure. She will get you out of a funk 100%. Ryan from the Krusty Boys podcast says Ween. If you could save yourself, you save us all. Baby bitch, birthday boy, Flute of the Chi, it's gonna be alright. I haven't heard Ween in God knows how long. I actually forgot Ween existed, so thank you, Ryan. Because that's good to remember. In the Shed with Wes Anderson says Reliant K or Bob Marley. Oh, Bob Marley would be a good one for sure. Coffee and Comments says Lil Wayne. I don't know if I personally would go to Lil Wayne. I do like his music, don't get me wrong. I just don't know if he could really get me out of a funk if I'm that dark or in that much of a funk. But, I mean, as I said, everyone listens to whatever they can, and if that works for you, 100% go for it. Weird Distractions Podcast says Halsey, all of their discography. I'm so hit and miss with Halsey. Sometimes, like, Halsey's stuff will hit really hard, and then other stuff I'm like, skip. Once again, personal preference. Personal preference. Bloodthirsty Times Podcast says one of my favourite bands to date, Electric Callboy. It's hard to feel bad when the music is just so fun, and I could not agree more. Absolutely. Happy Hour Tabs from the Happy Hour Podcast says Stained. A few people kind of agree with that one. I don't know enough of their stuff to comment, if I'm going to be brutally honest. I feel like I need to check out more of their stuff because a lot of people tend to go to them, especially people I know in real life, like not social media or through podcasting. So Let's see. The next is Recasted Podcast. 80s metal or something in that. Quiet Riot, Come On Feel the Noise, 100%, absolute classic. We're Not Gonna Take It, Twisted Sister, another fucking classic. Rammstein, Du Hast, oh my god, going off topic for a little bit, that song was played at a wedding and I have never danced and headbanged so much in my life. Like, I've always been a Rammstein fan. I sort of hit and miss with their newer stuff, but Du Hast, 100%. I'm going to pronounce this wrong. I always feel like I pronounce this differently every time I say their name. Seismic Cinema. Sorry, guys. They said Pendulum. Absolutely love Pendulum. Love Knife Party. Big go-to. And last but not least, an absolute fucking banger to end on. Impact with Zach says A Day to Remember. And my god, like, some of their songs to me resonate the same way as I Prevail or Linkin Park. I adore A Day to Remember. Just holy crap. Oh, sorry, not last but least. Now last but not least is Big Nick. From the Gag on This podcast. He said Ray, I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Ray LaMontagne. I'm so sorry. He also mentioned some soul singers and like some other people who I absolutely had no idea of. But I absolutely love the recommendation because I love a good soul. Like a good soul singer really hits home. Just, really, really good. So with that being said, we've hit the end of my little Twitter shout outs. I thank you guys so much for listening as usual. I know I can ramble on, but these episodes are much like therapy for myself, like they are for some of you guys. So even if I just reach one person and something I say helps, I'm happy. With that being said, before I finish up, the merch store is now